Hey pen friends, it's Kaitlin. Welcome back to another cozy journaling chat. Today I wanted to give you an updated tour of my Passport Traveler's Notebook, which as of filming this video, I have used as my planner / bullet journal for over a year, which is super cool to say. I know I've kept you guys pretty up to date on the changes I've been making to the setup, but I took a look at my video where I gave you the full setup and I feel like a lot of those other updates have been given ad hoc, so I wanted to put a more formal video together showing you the full setup so you have a point of reference for everything that is now going on in this book. And also I wanted to film this in preparation for another video where I'm going to be doing a bit of a retrospective or deep dive on using this system for a year and talking a bit about how it's evolved, what I've learned, and tips and recommendations I have for people who might be wanting to use this system as well. So I'm hoping that this video will be a nice little reference so that if anyone is watching that one in the future, they can also jump back into this one and see what my current setup looks like. But that is the preamble, and without further ado, let me get into the setup. Alright, so if you've been here a while, I'm sure a lot of this information will not be super new, but there are a couple new things that I have done to my system since the last setup video, which was about 8 months ago. And you will see those as I go through it, but first, I will start with the actual outside of the system, or the hardware, if you will. So as I said, this is my planner, and I like to keep my planner in this system, which is referred to as a traveler's notebook. This traveler's notebook is by the brand Traveler's Company, which is a Japanese stationery brand I personally quite like. And the cover I have here is in their passport size. They also have a regular size, which is a lot bigger, as you can see. And I have this one in the camel leather. And I like to do this in most videos, but I do like to do a little patina check to show you how the cover has aged, since that is a big part of the traveler's notebook and having this beautiful leather cover. So for this guy right here, you can kind of see it as I angle it. I've had this notebook for 2 years. Yeah, almost 2 years. It will be 2 years, I think, in December. And you can see how it started to age and get kind of shiny in certain places. I have dry hands, so my covers tend not to patina very fast because I don't have a lot of hand oils going on. But that is how it looks, and I quite like the camel leather. It's one of my personal favorite colors from Traveler's Company that they produce. I especially like this one because it's hard to see here. This is actually almost 4 years old, but you can kind of see this is a bit of a darker camel, which is quite nice. Sometimes they come in a bit of a lighter brown, but this one is actually quite dark, and it came kind of dark, so it's really kind of becoming this rich brown shade, which I quite like. I do like to accessorize my traveler's notebooks, and part of why I really like this system is because you can do a lot of changes to the outside of the system, like the cover and the charms and the things you put around your notebooks, but the core system itself, which are the notebooks you use, don't have to change in order to get a bit of a style refresh. So for me right now, I have a brass charm on my notebook. I usually change this up, but the one I have right now is by Baumkuchen. It has a little paper airplane and it says "Trust the process," which I quite like. And I don't really do any other kind of charms on my notebook. I've tried to do the charm on the string, which I've seen some people do, but I found that it kind of was a bit weird to handle. I personally didn't really love that, so I just keep the one charm on the front. So that is the outside of the notebook. Now getting into the, I guess, internal guts. This is the system itself. So I guess the way you could think about this is I have a 2-notebook system in here. And within the first notebook, that is what I have a lot of the kind of non-notebook accessories wrapped around. So around this first notebook, I have a wallet wrapped around it, which you can see here. And then I also have a zip case wrapped around it. And then attached to the zip case with a brass clip, which is also by Traveler's Company, is my second notebook in my system. There's a lot of different ways you can configure your notebook for 2 books. You could use a jump band, which Traveler's Notebook sells, but also when you purchase a Traveler's Notebook, it comes with a second elastic, and that could be used as a jump band as well, so you don't have to buy it from them. So you could use that and loop both notebooks around the one string that's in the middle here so that they both kind of sit on either side. You can also put one notebook on the first band here and slide the second notebook into the second part of the first band here. Something to note with that is this can be tight depending on your notebook, so you might need to adjust the elastic if it is. That's just something that I've experienced with that. But the way that I like to do it for 2 notebooks is I will put my main or one of my notebooks, usually the one I don't need to use as often, on the main band of the Traveler's Notebook. And then my second notebook, which I use more frequently, I just have clipped with a brass clip to my most outer accessory, which is this zip case. And why I like doing it this way is because when I need to use this notebook, which is pretty much every day, I can just unclip the brass clip, take it out, and then, open and start writing with it. There are some people who like to write directly in the Traveler's Notebook. For me, I find that because I keep different accessories in there, it's not really a smooth writing surface. So I will always take my books out when I'm writing with them, which is why I like to have my system set up in this way. But there's a ton of different ways you can go about it. This is just the way that I have done it. So taking a closer look at the exact order of my accessories and books, around the main band, I have 3 items. The first item, or the most outer item on the very outside, is my zip case. This is by Traveler's Notebook, and the zip case actually comes the other way. Personally, I like to flip it so that the bigger pocket is on the front and the zip case is in the middle or on the back. In the front of the zip case, I keep this card, which I always have just really enjoyed the design and the saying. This came in a B-Sides and Rarities set a couple years ago. I don't keep any cards on the inside here, and part of why I don't do that is because I'll keep cards in here, but also, this is my library card. The passport doesn't really fit cards super easily in this. It kind of sticks into the system in a weird way. So I prefer to keep it empty and keep cards in here, which is the second item around the main elastic. And that is my wallet. This is the to&fro Traveler's Company collab wallet in the olive color. It's kind of limited edition. I think it's still available. They just release it at very limited times, but you can still find it. And in the front part here, I just keep my library card because I like to kind of have that on hand, but I don't need it in my wallet all the time. There's no pockets here. And then in the back pocket here, it's another zip case. I keep sticky notes that I use in this notebook. And this isn't the full sticky note pad, I just have a couple so that it's not too bulky. I do keep a pencil board just kind of thrown into my notebook so that I have it. And then in my zip case as well, I think I forgot to mention this, I have these stickers that I also use in this notebook. They look like this. They are also by Traveler's Company. And this usually comes in a sheet that's like this. And I just cut it down so that it would fit into my notebook so that I could have the stickers more readily available. The final thing on the main band is the actual notebook itself. This notebook is the undated monthly insert by Travelers Company. You can get a dated version of this insert, but honestly, I just really don't like the red cover very much, so I get this one because I like the more neutral cover color option. And the inside of this notebook looks like this. If you don't number it, it has this layout, so this is how it comes. Just ignore, I had to cut out one of these because I stamped the wrong date. So it does come with 14 months, which is nice. In case you write something wrong, you could always glue the pages together and skip over, or as I did, cut out certain parts that you did wrong so you can glue them on top. And the way that I set up this calendar is I will stamp the date in the top right, and then I'll just write in my dates at the beginning of the year. This notebook also comes with some blank pages in the back. I think it's about 10, and I will use that for reference information. This notebook also comes with a couple of blank pages in the back, and at the front, it has a cover page, which I haven't really done anything with. It has this blank page, and then it has this 12-month vertical calendar. So I'll go over how I kind of have this insert set up, but to give you an overview, this insert is what I would personally call my annual book, and I got that term from Lindsay Scribble's bullet journal / passport setup. But essentially this book for me is, I would say, 80% future log if you use the bullet journal. So future log meaning it's my place where I store future events for the year. And then I use it for certain trackers. I do also have a tracker in my other notebook for other things, but I do track one thing in here, which you can see here, which I'll go over in a minute. And then finally, I also use this book for reference information that I will need throughout the entire year so that I don't have to keep copying it out. So annual book means future log, so calendars for the year, plus any reference information that I'll need for the entire year. So the first thing I keep in the front of my annual book is my yearly tracker. And right now I only have one because that's how many the notebook comes with. And this is what I have been using to track my workouts. I've never really used a tracker like this before, but I just kind of set this up on a whim because I wanted to use this spread, and I've actually been really enjoying it. All I do is I use a highlighter on the days that I've worked out. I don't indicate the type of workout or anything like that. For me, it's just interesting to see how often I am doing a workout or going to the gym. And I use a mild liner in the color beige for this. And what I love about that specific highlighter is it is the perfect width of these squares, or should I say it's the perfect height, not width. So it fits perfectly when I go to highlight each day. The next section are my monthly calendars. I have them from January through December. I'll give you a look at October, which is the current month, so you can see how I set these up. This has probably been the most stable in my setup. For the most part, I haven't really changed how I use my monthlies at all. I always have a sticky note on the right-hand page where I write the actual events. And then on the actual calendar itself, I will put icon stickers for things like when my bills are due, big events. So like this month I'm going on a trip, so I put a sticker down for when my flight leaves because that's important. I'll also record other family members' flights in here. If I'm getting a haircut, I will also indicate that too because I find that useful information to reference so I can make sure I have a regular schedule with getting that done. And then I will use washi tape to mark down when I am on vacation so that I also have that for reference. In the back, there's a world map, which I'm gonna use to mark down where I've gone this year. I haven't gone on any trips yet, but I will be going to Spain, so I'll be able to put a sticker down for that soon, which will be fun. And then I have a bunch of reference information back here, and most of this is just stuff that I've printed out and stuck down on these pages. This information is stuff that is super important to me that I really need to reference. So things like stat holidays, because I work at a bank, so it's important for me to know when I'm not working and I have the day off. I have the Formula One calendar, also just really helpful information because I like to watch that quite a lot. And then I also have some Stardew Valley information in here to reference. I have Villagers Loved Gifts, I have Last Day to Plant, and then I have a year one checklist. This is by the creator on YouTube, Salamence, and this is the guide I like to use whenever I'm doing a playthrough. I personally, and if you play Stardew Valley, you'll know what I'm talking about, and if you don't, I don't know, you could look it up if you want, but I'm of the opinion that getting the community center in a year, I think it's fun. I think you should try to do it once to challenge yourself, but honestly, I think it's overrated, and it's more fun to play the game at your own pace. So this is more helpful for if you're trying to hit that goal in a year, but I do also find it good reference information just for knowing what things are available during what season for the community centers. And also I like knowing which crops are most profitable, which is also shown here. Besides that, I don't really have anything else. I do have one more Stardew Valley thing. I need to glue this in, but this is just reference for me. This is one of my keg sheds that I like to make when I play the game. So I like to just have this for reference so I know how to lay it out properly when I'm doing a new playthrough. And that is pretty much everything in my annual book. Moving on to the second book in my 2-book system. This book is usually attached with my brass clip to the zip case just so it doesn't fly out of the notebook. And this notebook here is by the brand Good Impressions. The reason why I don't use a notebook by Traveler's Company for this purpose is because their regular kind of grid notebooks have 5mm grid, which I find is just far too large for what I need for my system and for my handwriting. So instead, I use these notebooks by Good Impressions. This one is a Tomoe River paper notebook with paper that is cream color. I get it customized so it can have 4mm grid and squared corners. And the page count on this notebook is 80 pages. So I actually used to use the 64-page book for a long time. And since about midway through this year, I was finding my notebooks were filling up a bit too fast. So I went up to the 80-page so that I can comfortably fit 3 months into this notebook. And that allows me to finish a notebook approximately once a quarter or every 3 months. So this notebook, the annual book, stays in here for the whole year. But this one will get swapped out 4 times a year as I fill it up. So this notebook, for example, that I have here right now, I started in October and it will take me to the end of the year in December. All right, so the annual book setup. This one also has been not as consistent as the annual book. It's changed a little bit, but it's nothing too wild. The way I set this up always is I don't do any spreads before jumping into my month. This is very much a kind of month by month planning tool for me, so I don't have any kind of quarterly pages or quarterly trackers. It's just not something I've personally gotten into. But the first page that I set up for every month, so these are like my monthly logs, if you will, is my calendar. The way I like to do this is I have a calendar on the left, which I draw out like this. I do it horizontally because it fits better on the page. And then I have a blank page on the right where I write down my dates for the month, and then I will use my same beige mild liner to put a circle on the day where I have the event. I'm sure I have a screenshot of that somewhere, so I'll put an image so you can see exactly what I mean, but this is where I capture my events for the month, and I will usually copy those over from my annual book. The next 2 pages in my monthly log are my task list and my media log. My task list is where I will collect tasks that I have to do during the month. Usually these will be things like reoccurring tasks like laundry, or a very specific thing that I know I have to do during the month, like paying a bill or some specific chore that falls in the month of October, for example. I like to set a lot of my collections up with an Alastair method list, which means that you essentially have a multi-column list that allows you to kind of categorize the things, if that makes sense. Honestly, I've never been good at explaining this, so I'll just tell you how I use it, and hopefully that will make sense. But for tasks, what I will do is I will write a task like laundry here, and then I have the numbers 1 through 4 and a dot, which symbolize the first, second, third, and fourth week of the month. The dot means that it's not date specific. And what this allows me to do is schedule tasks in that need to happen over multiple weeks, so I don't have to write it out multiple times. So for example, with laundry, I do that weekly, so I would write laundry here, put a dot under 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then as I am migrating that into my weekly spread, I can bring that over and then I'll cross it off as I do it. I take a similar approach for my media log. So unlike tasks, this is where I write down what I'm reading, watching, listening to, gaming and playing, all of that stuff here. And I also have weeks 1 through 4 in the right-hand column and a dot. And what I use this for is I will use this to mark down the weeks that I am watching or engaging with that thing. And then I will use the dot to mark that I've finished the thing. So I finished the game, finished the series, stuff like that. So for example, this month I've been watching Dancing with the Stars, so I would write Dancing with the Stars, and then I would do a dot for every week I've watched the show and cross it off so that I have a really nice kind of overview or documentation of all of the different things I was watching during the month. It's not really helping me in my planning at all, I just find it really interesting data to collect. The next 2 pages are relatively new, and I added these after reading the book Getting Things Done by David Allen, but these are my project logs. So I have one on the left for work projects, one on the right for home projects, and this is where I will write down the different projects that I'm working on during the month. Kind of similar to the media log, I have 1 through 4 of the weeks of the month so that I can actually note down what weeks I worked on that thing. And then the dot, just like the media log, I will cross off only when I've completed the project. And I find this is just really helpful so that you have an overview of what you're actually actively doing in the month. I started this in September, so it's quite new, but I really enjoyed at the end of September looking back on this log and seeing what projects I was working on and had completed during the month. All right, now we are on to the weekly and dailies. The way I always set this up is I have my weekly log on the left. I do an Alastair list yet again. This one has the days of the week up top, and I combine Saturday, Sunday into weekend, and then there's a dot. How I use my weekly log is for tracking weekly habits, which for me are my movering, workout, and journaling. And then under that, I leave a space and I make a running list of weekly priorities and weekly tasks that I need to complete. I don't write everything on this list. I try to reserve it for important stuff so that I have that kind of visual of what are the things that I really need to get done this week. How I use my Alastair list with this is pretty simple. So for the task list, it doesn't really change very much compared to my monthly task list. I will indicate on the day if I need to do something during the week, put it under the dot if it's non-date specific. And then for my habits, what I do is I use each day of the week to mark down if I'd completed that habit. The kind of tricky thing is that because there's 2 days on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, what I do is I consider the weekend column Saturday for habit tracking and the dot Sunday. That way I still have 7 days to mark off my habits without adding an extra column to this list, because then it would really kind of limit the space I have to write down my tasks. Then on the right, I have my daily logs. These are probably the most in line with the original bullet journal method. out of all the things in this system, but pretty much I write the date at the top, and then I will write a running list of the events and tasks and notes that I have for the day. And then once the day is over, I will skip a line, write the date for the next day, and repeat the process until I have the whole week. And then I will restart the week with my weekly log on the left. Oh yeah, I'll also mention I mark my current page where my daily log is with a book dart at the top right. That one is in bronze. And then for my current month, I will mark that with so I will mark my trackers with this Midori bookmark. I think this is called bronze or orange. And then I use the little bookmark that comes with the cover to mark my current month that I'm on in my annual book. And that is pretty much it when it comes to my system. I feel like this is both a very simple and very complex system all at the same time. I feel like there's a lot of nuances and explanation, but the core of it is actually quite simple when you look at the two books themselves. But if there was anything that wasn't clear to you or you have any questions, let me know in the comments and I'd be happy to answer them. And besides that, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great week and I'll see you in the next video. Bye everybody.